So hi everyone, it's Emma and Shelly from Yorkshire in Business. And we thought we'd take a little bit of time today to talk to you about interview anxiety. So due to COVID, many people might be thinking about changing their career or looking for a new challenge. And one of the most daunting experiences in that is the actual interview. And we thought we could offer some advice and tips that might help you. So it's always beneficial to start thinking about what is interview anxiety, because the more we understand about something, the less scary it can be. So the nervousness that we feel before and during a job interview is actually a natural physiological response to us getting ready to perform. Your heart rate elevates and you might mistake your body's response as something bad. So then we get fight, flight, or the freeze. So as you prepare for an interview, you start getting stage fright. And although that's not always a bad thing, your mind might interpret your body's nervous signals as something negative. And then you start to worry. And your worry leads to the fear of failure, the fear of not achieving what you want to achieve. And then you might begin to worry about worrying too much. And the cycle continues, and your nervous fears could turn to anxiety. So let's have a think about what is an interview. Well, really, an interview is just a conversation between you and somebody else or some other people. It's something we do every day in our lives with our work colleagues, with our families. We have a conversation, we might ask some questions, they might ask us some questions. So actually, although it feels like an abnormal state, it's not. It's something we do all of the time, and we can do and should have confidence in ourselves. So we have a bag of tools that might be able to help you. And we begin with thinking about positive thinking as a part of our personal effectiveness. So personal effectiveness, it means making the most of all of our personal resources available to us, our personal talents, our personal energies, the things that are important to us. So personal effectiveness actually increases our confidence and self-esteem. And from inside that grows positive beliefs and the appreciation of the value of our abilities and strengths.
So we have got some tips for positive thinking, and one of these is positive self-talk, which can have a big impact on our confidence and self-esteem. So we all have self-talk, negative and positive, which both affect how we feel. If we can increase our positive self-talk, it'll make us feel more confident. So there's a few ways we can do this, and one is just observing those thoughts and then recognizing when we're telling ourselves negative thoughts. Once we've realized that, we can try and replace them with more positive ones. So leading up to an interview, you might start thinking negative thoughts such as, haven't prepared enough for this interview, it's all going to go wrong. So can we replace that with something a bit more positive? Be honest with yourself. You have prepared for that interview. I've prepared well and I'm going to do my best. Another thought might be, if you've never done a certain type of interview before, it could be a panel interview or you need to do a presentation. So the thoughts might be, I've never done this before, something's going to go wrong. Could we replace that with something like, this is a new experience, I'm going to learn something from this. So we can practice positive talk every day just by observing those thoughts, and turning them, recognizing when they're negative and trying to turn them into something a bit more positive. Try and be logical with it. Just because you feel the thought doesn't make it true. And then you can practice that every day. Another way of increasing positive thinking is visualizing success. So leading up to the interview in the week or the days before, go to a quiet place, deep breath, and just visualize yourself succeeding in that interview. This can raise our confidence levels, change our mind, and prepare us for a positive outcome. So there's a couple. We're going to move on now, I think. Shelley?
So I was just going to mention that, so what's really good to do, that you need to accept that there will be a level of anxiety. It's good to remember feeling stressed or anxious about an important interview is just a sign that you want to do well. Acknowledge and accept the anxiety as a normal response rather than forcing yourself to calm down, because that's just going to increase your stress levels. A good thing to do is to think about writing down your spinning thoughts in the time leading up to your interview. Make a list of things that's popping out in your head. This helps you to process your thoughts and helps you to lower your stress levels. Writing really can be one of the most therapeutic and helpful things you can do to reduce your anxiety. Going back to Emma.
So another important thing to do is breathe. Remember to breathe, because as we get highly anxious, it means that our chest feels very tight and we shallow breathe, and that shallow breathing kind of perpetuates that anxiety. So there are some brilliant breathing techniques out there that you can practice on your way to the interview, when you sat in the waiting room waiting to go into the interview. And I'm going to demonstrate one and just discuss one with you now, and it's called square breathing. So square breathing, what we're going to do is we're going to try breathing in for a count of 4, hold for 4, breathe out for a count of 4, and hold for a count of 4. And you can do this for a minute or 2. Now, whilst you're doing it, I want you to visualize the box and focus in your mind on the box, and the breathe in, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and hold for 4. Now, like I said, you can do this anywhere, on your way to the interview, actually waiting outside the interview. This technique is actually called resetting your breath. It's really easy to do, it's quick to learn, and can be highly effective for people in not just the job interview, but any stressful situation. You know, people with really high stress jobs, such as soldiers and police officers, use this type of breathing when their bodies are in that fight and flight mode. And really, the technique is also relevant for anyone interested in recentering themselves or improving their concentration.
Yeah, so knowing that breathing technique, practicing self-compassion, try not to beat yourself up. You might think that your interviewer will want more experience from you, or that you're not prepared enough. It's just really good to remember you just find the way you are. You might not be the right fit for the job, or you might. It could go either way. But whatever happens, either way, it does not reflect on what the sort of person you are. To reinforce self-compassion, try and focus on these words. So wisdom, strength, warmth, and non-judgment. Try and repeat them to yourself while you do your breathing. That can help. Also, try not to critique yourself as you go through the process. Don't say anything to yourself that you wouldn't really say to a good friend.
So we've also got some practical tips for reducing the interview anxiety. And one of them is to try and get outside yourself. Being stressed and anxious can make us very self-focused. So try and focus on things outside of yourself. So maybe when you go into the building, acknowledge, say hello to the receptionist, ask the interviewer how his day went, smile, acknowledge people, try and ask people their names and try and remember them. Just anything that can take you out of your own head. So another practical tip that we've got is treat yourself well. Our physical health can have a big impact on our stress and anxiety levels. So in the week leading up to your interview, try and get a good night's sleep, avoid caffeine, alcohol. And then on the day of the interview, just be aware of what you're eating. Again, try and get a good night's sleep the night before. Avoid caffeine. Definitely avoid alcohol before your interview. Try and eat a small meal so that your tummy's not rumbling, but you don't feel lightheaded, you don't feel too sleepy. Just really be aware of your health and look after yourself in the week leading up to your interview. So another positive tip we've got is releasing anxious energy. And I'm doing a bit of it now. There's things you can do. There's things we end up doing in an interview when we get a bit anxious or stressed. And that can be getting sweaty hands a bit, fidgeting, which is what I'm doing a bit. Or you can panic and get a mind blank. So we want to find ways of releasing that anxious energy that's a bit healthier and it's going to help you more in the interview. So before you go into the interview, it can be before you go into the building or in the toilets, wherever you want, try moving around. So shake off the energy, give your legs a shake, your hand, just shake it off a little bit. Get rid of that energy. And then in the interview, so that nobody can see you, but you're still kind of getting rid of it, but you're not fidgeting, try wiggling your toes and then scrunching and releasing them. Hopefully it's going to give you a big release of anxiety. You're going to come across calmer, feel calmer. And it just sets you up to feeling more confident and calmer in the interview. Back to Emma.
So something else that we can do to help alleviate interview anxiety is to reduce the stresses that are not actually related directly to the interview itself, so being in the interview. So thinking about things like, what am I going to wear? How do I get there? Am I going to get lost? Or what happens if I'm late? So start to think about those things a couple of days before. Choose an outfit that you feel comfortable in, that's appropriate and smart, but that you feel comfortable in. And when you put it on, it makes you feel good and you look good in it. Lay it out the night before so everything's ready. So you're not going to kind of be in a rush or a stress or worried about, actually, should I wear this? Should I wear that? The other thing is to think about your journey to the interview. How far away is it? How are you getting there? Are you getting a bus? If you are, then you'll need to look at, what's the bus timetables? What bus is going to get me there? And I'm not going to have to run and turn up sort of sweating and that's raised the anxiety levels. If you're driving and it's somewhere that you don't know, then maybe do a dummy run, because then you can see if there's parking or where the nearest parking is. How long is it going to take you to get from your parking space to the front door and that kind of thing? These are all things that just kind of help alleviate some of that pre-interview stress. And the other thing is obviously be prepared. Think about the company, have a look at their background, have a look at what their ethics are. And if you look at your job spec, you might be able to try and prepare some answers, because most of the questions you're going to be asked will be competency-based questions. So they're open questions that allow the interviewer to really see how you do demonstrate your life experience that matches those competencies. We use something called the STAR method. So that is situation, task, action, and result. So the situation is where you set the scene and give the necessary details of the example you're going to use to demonstrate that competency. And then your task. So you describe what your responsibility was in that situation. And your action, exactly the steps that you took to address that situation? And most importantly, the result. So what was the outcome achieved by what you did? So I'm going to hand over to Emma and Shelly now, as they just demonstrate a couple of questions with a STAR technique.
Are you ready, Shelly?
I am, yeah. I'm big breathing.
These tips, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just do a couple of questions. So, Shelly, can you tell me about a time when you handled a challenging situation?
Yeah, so in a past role, I had a time where I had a manager go on unexpected leave. And on that first day with the manager away, the whole team that I was working with had like various crises with various clients. And this gave all the team really some anxieties on how we were going to support the clients safely without the management's guidance. However, we decided to have our own team meeting, which built each other's confidence for the situation ahead. We made a plan of action using various colleagues' knowledge, which in the end helped us to deal with the challenging situation quite well.
Really good. I needed there.
Oh, good.
Just one more. Can you tell me about a goal you set and reached and how you achieved it?
So I just thought I'd talk about my biggest goal that I feel I've reached. So it's gaining my degree and qualifying as a counsellor. I had to do this degree. I was married. I've got three young boys, and to reach this goal, I had to manage various different jobs to fit around my degree and my family, which was difficult and really quite stressful. But knowing the outcome pushed me to motivate myself to keep going, which helped me gain my goal in the end, which was passing my degree, which eventually gave me a job that I love.
That's great. Thank you.
So we just want everybody to remember that whatever you've experienced when you go into an interview or throughout the interview, when you come out, congratulate yourself for going, for, you know, putting that effort in, and just congratulate yourself. Whatever happens, like Shelly said earlier, you know, you might be the right fit, you might not be the right fit for that particular role, but that is no reflection on who you are. You're still amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we hope that that toolkit we've given you will help you not only for interviews, but other aspects of your life. Thanks very much, everybody, for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.